My father lived in Jordan, and people will say, have you ever been to Israel? I said, I've actually never been into Israel, but I've obviously been to many of the holy sites, because so much of what is considered the Holy Land is not in, Israel is a very small country. And so you would actually have to go into different countries, into places that like Lebanon or into places like Jordan, to actually walk where Jesus walked. And people would take these trips, and they still do, and they go on tours, and they go into Israel, and they go into Jordan, and they go into these different areas, and many take pilgrimages into Bethlehem at this time of year, and they get overwhelmed. Jesus stood here. But God is saying, don't get overwhelmed with location. Get overwhelmed with the purposes Jesus had when he stood there. See, that's what we should be overwhelmed by. You may never get the opportunity to walk the places that Jesus walked. You may never get the opportunity to swim in the Dead Sea or to walk around these areas and see these locations that Jesus saw in his lifetime. But you can get overwhelmed and consumed with the purposes that Jesus had when he stood there. I imagine if Jesus himself were to walk through the doors of the church, I of course would, well, you can have the pulpit, Jesus. I don't think he'd come here to see me. So imagine in a couple of years when we needed to replace the carpet. You imagine that business meeting? But Jesus walked on that carpet. We can't get rid of that carpet, right? We'd be taking it home and putting it on our wall. If you're going to take it out of the church, I'm taking. And we'd be giving. Jesus walked on this carpet, guys. Jesus walked on this earth, and he loved the people of this earth. And if we're going to get consumed with anything, if we're going to be overwhelmed by anything this Christmas, get overwhelmed with those purposes.